Have you ever wondered how you can give your children a financial head start in life? Whether it's for their education, their first home, or simply to secure their future. Investing for your kids is one of the most impactful decisions you can make. In this video, I will break down the smartest ways to invest for your children. Whether you're just starting or looking to refine your plans, this guide will give you everything you need to know. Let's set your kids up for a brighter financial future. So in my opinion, you have three options to build wealth for your children. Let's start with the first one. So first option would be that you do the typical way and you just invest money in ETFs over the next 10, 15, 18 years, okay? So you have an ETF savings plan, and then you should invest some money maybe in international markets. The problem with international markets is typically that this is primarily US focused. Okay? I'm recording this video in January 2025. Currently, is the US market working really well? So maybe some people would say, yeah, let's put all money into US markets because currently it's working well. But just because it's working well right now, it doesn't necessarily mean that this will work out long-term for the next 10, 15 years for your child, okay? And you should be careful with rebalancing, so selling and buying new ETFs, because you always have to pay capital gains tax if you realize profits, which would destroy your compound interest effect. So it would be good that you set up a portfolio that can work for you passively or for your children in the long run. And you probably don't want to actively manage the portfolio of your child and you want to sell and buy because this costs lots of time, obviously. Okay? So we would have one international ETF probably. Then in my opinion, it makes sense to include some Europe ETF to have some diversification. And there are still pretty good companies in Europe. And then I would probably include an emerging markets ETF. So, for example, countries like India, Brazil, South Africa, Mexico, countries with pretty good growth rates, but potentially more fluctuation. So it makes sense to have, let's say, such a diversification, which would be, I would say, a beginner portfolio. Okay, if you have specific mutual funds included, then you might generate higher returns, especially over the next 10, 15, 18 years. And especially if there are some times which are not that good for the market, okay? Because the big benefit of an ETF is that you have pretty low costs. And as long as the market is performing really well, ETFs are super strong, obviously. But in times where the market is not performing well, ETFs are actually worse in comparison to mutual funds which are actively managed. So you have to figure out yourself if you say, okay, just ETF and that's it, or if you would like to have any professional portfolio management and a professional portfolio setup here, okay? Professional setup is something I would recommend for you, for sure. For your children, well, this is something you need to figure out yourself, okay? So this would be option one. So I would probably recommend that you have most of your savings budget. Let's say you want to save 250 euros per month. The parental allowance, or in 2025, 255 euros per month. And then you want to save and you say, okay, this is money for the child, so I'm not touching that. This is just invested there for the long run, okay? So I would probably use most of that budget and just put it into any custody account like investments in ETFs or mutual funds, or you decide, okay? Second option, if you think really long-term, it actually makes sense from financial perspective that you have a small pension for your child. I know this sounds super long-term, and now you might say, well, why is he mentioning pension? Well, because if you say 50 euros long-term for pension, and you have a compound interest effect over 50 years, 55, 60 years, then your child probably never has to save any money for pension, him or herself. So the pension would already be solved because daddy and mommy saved 50 or 100 euros, which saves your child lots of money already in the, let's say, mid-20s or 30s, because they don't have to save so much money for their pension because you already solved that. They just need to continue saving 50 euros and that's sorted, which is a huge financial advantage. But yeah, I know it's pretty long-term thinking. There would be a flexible pension plan, which would make sense, so-called flex. So they can just take a monthly pension or lump sum option. They can also pull out money anytime. But if we are considering building as much wealth as possible over the next 18 years, for example, then the ETF is stronger in comparison to the pension. If we are really looking long-term for retirement, then the pension would be stronger than the ETF. So it would be, for example, in my opinion, a good idea to save 200 euros here. Okay, this is until, let's say, 1820 for education. And then you save a 50 euros here long-term for your child. Your child can just continue that plan at age 20. And you already set up a really nice financial strategy for your child, because lots of money will be here. This can be used for real estate investment, which would be crazy if your child has already the down payment. Your child starts working, immediately has a down payment, buys real estate. Well, significant financial advantage. Pension is solved, so more budget is available to build up more real estate assets. It's crazy if you do it correctly, okay? And especially if your child has the knowledge, this is actually the most important point, and I wanted to say that at the end, but let's mention it here. The best thing you can do from financial perspective for your child is to give your child the right knowledge, okay? So what you should do is, if your child is turning, let's say, 16, 17, 18, that you say, okay, you have a certain saving here. This saving should be used for education. This should be used for potential real estate investment. The pension plan, this is something you never cancel. This is something you continue until retirement, so you never have to worry about retirement. This is obviously important. It only works if the child continues doing that, at least for the pension area and the real estate area. But in general, it makes sense to have such a distribution just to be prepared for any possible scenario. What you should also do, and this is the third scenario, in my opinion, one of the best things you can do for your child is that you buy real estate yourself. Because if you own real estate and the mortgage is finished, and at some point you pass on the wealth to the next generation, and you own, for example, 5, 6 apartments because you made some correct financial decisions, or let's say each apartment is giving you 1,000 euros rent per month. Now let's assume you have 2 children, you generate 6,000 euros per month. Your children each have a passive income of 3,000 euros per month, which makes it much easier for them to have another significant financial advantage, and to be more comfortable and more relaxed when it comes to their education, when it comes to their family in future, and building wealth, enjoying life. Well, you know yourself why you need money in this world, okay? So if you do these 3 things, you save 250, 200 just to build wealth over the next, let's call it 18 years. If you want to get started immediately, child is born, you do the savings plan with the parental allowance. So you save a lot of money, because this is 2,400 a year times 18, especially including interest. There will be lots of money. Then pension, 50 euros. Calculate it yourself. 50 euros per month with 8% interest over the next 60 years. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of, crazy if you do that. And then you should actually focus on buying real estate, not just only for yourself, but also for your children. Because if you do that, then the life of your children is probably significantly easier than yours. So to sum up, investing for your children isn't just about money. It's about providing them with opportunities and security for years to come. By starting early, choosing the right investment vehicles, and staying consistent, you can make a lasting impact on their future. If this video helped you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips on smart investing, financial planning, and securing a brighter future for your family. And let me know in the comments, How are you investing for your children? Or what question do you have about getting started? Thank you for watching, and remember, every small step today can create a big opportunity tomorrow. See you in the next video.